So, here we are in part 8 of the Civilization 3 playthrough. And I'm expanding my civilization nicely here. Neapolis just built another worker to develop those mines there. I have to decide whether to settle here or a little bit further south. Seems a little bit unclear. It's best. I have a warrior, which I sort of want, sort of don't want, because it's really too far away from where I need it, if I'm going to use it at all. So I'm going to build an archer, at least because they're more effective, even in Civilization 3, than a warrior. Warrior are just kind of these cavemen with battle axes, you know. So settler that I can't decide what to do with. One of the problems is sending settlers down to the southwest where I want them is kind of suicidal for them, because there's that barbarian city there. I've got to send my newly built army down there to deal with that. So that will be the first military operation of the game. Because I'm going to cut this off in 30 AD, it's also going to be the last. I might continue this game in later playthroughs, later parts, but as with Civilization 1, I don't want to spend huge amounts of time on this playthrough just because I have real work to do. And so I have to pick and choose which videos I'm going to make. I can't make absolutely everything. So, what am I going to do with the settler? I haven't decided. I'll just vaguely move in the direction where I want it. So the Forbidden Palace is reference to the Forbidden City, Chinese Forbidden City, which is one of the new wonders in Civilization 3. So, this spearman will go into war in the southwest there. Obviously, I'm going to salvage that city site. Generally, when these smaller cities are invaded, it's just like in Civilization 1 and 2 that you destroy them. But you can rebuild, of course, on the same site, which I do plan to do. Because, as I said, my strategy here is to build as many cities as possible, as early as possible. Spearmen, You don't actually have phalanxes in Civilization 3. Just, quote, spearmen, which is a little bit misleading, because you can have spearmen without bronze working. In real life, anyway. Okay. One of the differences between Civilization 1 and 2 and Civilization 3 is that when you develop writing, you can build embassies, which is in line with the original Civilization and Civilization 2, but you can't build libraries. That's for later developments. which bothers me a little bit because, I mean, if you have writing, you can write books, and if you write books, you can have libraries. Actually, if you don't have the printing press, you can argue that a library is much more important, because books are very expensive under such circumstances. And Civilization 3 is the first Civilization game in which the printing press is an advance. So this worker, I guess, was going to build a mine over here. Meanwhile, I'm moving that spearman to try and engage those barbarians down there to see if I can settle that territory. So, a new city up here, just because there's kind of an empty gap there and the conditions aren't too hideously bad. One thing I've noticed is that in Civilization 3 you don't get any advice about where to build cities like in Civilization 1 and 2, at least at the lower skill levels, because obviously if you crank the skill levels up you get a lot fewer tips in Civilization 1 and 2. So I'll get started on first a road, and then I'll go with a mine there. So we have an archer, so I can bring the archer down to fight. Another archer. So, figuring out what I'm going to do here. Where's that settler? Oh, there he is. So I have to decide whether to build, I guess. For the moment, I'm undecided. All these animations, I didn't mention this earlier, but one of the things that Civilization 3 was built for was being a 3D game, modern 3D game, but actually these are sprites you're looking at that were possibly developed from 3D models. The only 3D you really have in Civilization 3 is in the opening cutscene. These are all really sprites, much like in Escape Velocity. We're running out of time on this part, so I'll see you later.